I don't see bids. There's some more information coming in on that.
Really?
Yeah, I'm on that selection committee or whatever. Or on the, not selection. Review of the HVAC. Since I've dealt with all that crap. I don't want to talk to you.
He was inviting you to a birthday party.
Yeah.
How we are out here.
Man, I forgot my hat or we'd be matching.
I don't know. Maybe after. I don't know.
Okay.
Regular meeting of Washington, Missouri City Council, Monday, August 15th, 2022, 7 p.m. Bear?
Here.
Briggs,
Here.
Coulter,
Here.
Hydrich,
Here.
Holtmeyer,
Here.
Patke,
Here.
Reed,
Here.
Wessels.
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Will all the council members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the council meeting dated August 1st, 2022? Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Coulter?
Yes.
Hydrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Reed?
Yep.
Wessels?
Aye.
Need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Motion by Patke, second by Holtmeyer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
With your with your vote, the approval minutes is done.
Approval and adjustment of agenda, including the consent agenda. You have the Collector's Treasurer's Report Summary for May 2022, Monthly Investment Report for May 2022. On the DS, you've got the blotter item for item 1C, which is a liquor license renewal. And item D, the blotter item is item 7F for a special sale contract ordinance.
Need a motion.
Make a motion.
I'm sorry, who missed
I'll
it?
make a motion. What's a special sale contract?
That's the,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
We do have a motion by Holtmeyer and a second by Patke. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, approval and adjustment of the agenda is complete.
Priority items, mayor's presentations, appointments, and reappointments. Police Department reappointment.
Jim?
Good evening, Council. In your packet, you have a letter from me and from the mayor requesting reappointment of Brendan McMillan for a second six-month appointment. He's doing very well, so we're pleased with him.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Patke, second by Hydrich. All those in favor?
Aye.
And motion is approved.
Public hearings, voluntary annexation, Beaker Road.
good evening. You have to bear with me tonight with this new TV. The laser doesn't show up really on the screen all too well. We just ordered a new one today, but I'll try and describe what I'm talking about best I can. So your only public hearing tonight is a request for a voluntary annexation, commonly known as the Helsher Farm or the portion of the Coke Farm. They're just north of Beaker Road in between Beaker and Rabbit Trail. You can see on the north side of that where the blue lines are. That's an older aerial, but you can see where the homes have been built in the last few years. We have just approved a couple months ago, and grading has begun for the Coke Farm directly to the west of this. That's currently being graded for single-family residential. And then the same developer is in agreement with the city and the property owner for this to be annexed as well. And so you can see here, it's not the entire parcel, it just goes to the creek. The topography on the lower end of that is significantly lower. They would need either a culvert or a small bridge to get to that. And so realistically, that portion will be developed with the Claycamp Farm to the east. And so they're asking to just annex this portion today as R1D, single-family residential. So John, you can go to next slide. I don't know if that's plugged in or not. There you go. This is just a newer aerial. You can kind of see the general area of where we're at. Again, that's the whole parcel. They're only annexing around the creek down to Beaker Road. It is technically two parcels. You can see where that section line was up along Beaker. But in total, it's about 14 acres. It will connect into the development to the east, so it'll be cohesive with that. And on the next slide, you'll see the proposed zoning. That hatched area is the R1D, single-family residential, and they're requesting to bring it in to match that. So it meets our comprehensive plan, meets staff's requirements, or the code requirements, and staff recommends approval of this. Last week, Planning and Zoning reviewed this and recommended unanimously to accept the annexation and the requested zoning of R1D single family.
With that zoning sale, how many units will?
Well, I mean, you get 7,500 square foot lots, but realistically, with a street going down the middle and having stormwater there, you're probably looking about 25 to 30.
I think there's 34 just to the west there?
36.
36,
Yep.
okay. So, I mean, you take that
Similar.
acreage, you put it over there, I think 25 to 30 is pretty reasonable.
Are we putting in the street still?
We are. So we entered into agreement with, this one is Wunderlich, correct, designing this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and it is under design now to put Beaker all the way to Rabbit Trail. That's actually part of the development agreement. So the annexation is signed by the owner and the developer, and then our development agreement is what required that. We said once we get that signed, you can come in and annex. So we are hoping to get the plat done at the same time. The Wunderlich wasn't done yet, which is fine. They said next month, ideally, they'll get a plat in. So at the next P&Z, we'll actually see what this lot layout will look like.
If you remember, that's a 40-foot roadway, just like Rabbit Trail is. It'll have a sidewalk on the west side, so the opposite side of this, and then there will be a small culvert. Looked at a preliminary set of plans on Friday. It does look like they're going to be bringing utilities down that roadway where that crossing is, so they're going to want to move pretty quick on getting this road done, just so they kind of all marry up together and it kind of all happens at the same time. So it's all positive stuff.
The existing development was all going to be to the west of the to-be-built road. This is all to the east of, correct?
Yes, but it will connect. So on the north side of the existing development, where John's pointing, we originally had a hammerhead there in the plat. They did that on purpose, knowing that hopefully this would get done. Now it is. They'll take out that hammerhead and actually connect that road to Rabbit Trail.
Yeah, their road is right here where that pointer's kind of at, pretty close to there. Our Rabbit Trail coming in, it's about 275 foot away, which is about minimum where you want your intersections. But their road then will meander through the development and then wrap back around. Oops, sorry, it's pausing on me. But it'll wrap back around over to Rabbit Trail. So it'll kind of loop. That won't be the primary way people will go, though. And then these lots in this western development actually back to the roadway. So you won't have driveways off of that roadway, which is one of our big things. That was a huge deal when we put these roads in.
That was in that plat that they provided.
Yep, limit driveways to actually make it a through street to get people from point A to point B.
Like we said, tonight's just the annexation, but we do anticipate that plat being ready next month.
Any further discussion, questions? Take a motion.
Open up for public comment.
Public comment. Sorry, guys.
Anybody in that trouble to address it? Does not.
Okay. No one else? I take a motion.
I'll make a
please.
motion.
Patke, a motion.
Sure.
I'll second.
And Holtmeyer's a second. Further? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Nobody. Okay, the motion passes, so let's talk about and address the ordinance, please.
Sherry, before you read the ordinance, excuse me, on the first page of the ordinance, there's a paragraph in here that needs to be removed. It's the second to last paragraph, whereas no written objection, that needs to come out. And then on the second page, in section 2, it says zone R3 multifamily residential.
It should be
It should be
RD.
R1D.
Yeah. Single family.
Right.
Finally earned your paycheck tonight, Mark. Good job.
Hopefully that's the last you hear from me.
My motion goes with the changes.
Well, I think she has to go ahead and read first.
I know, but I'm.
An ordinance annexing 14 acres of property located along Beaker Road in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Becky.
Holtmeyer sponsors this bill. Okay. Further discussion? All right, I'll take a motion.
No, she's got to do a read.
Got to do it one more time. Sorry,
second
Sherry.
reading.
An ordinance annexing 14 acres of property located along Beaker Road in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Hydrich,
Aye.
Coulter.
Aye.
Ordinance is approved.
Citizens' comments?
Any citizen would like to make a comment, please take the stand. Okay?
John, do you have anything?
I do not.
Ordinances and resolutions. An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a lease agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and the Axe Depot LLC.
Holtmeyer.
Sponsored by Holtmeyer.
This is the proposed lease on 7A, and 7B is the contract to go ahead with the construction in order to turn the freight depot into a building that we can go ahead and occupy with the use in 7A. Within the lease, I think there's a letter attached. As I said, both of these kind of go hand in hand. Without the lease, I don't know that you'd want to move forward with the construction contract as well. We received, well, on the proposed lease, let me just state this, the building would generate about $3,000 a month for a total of $36,000 in year one. Subsequent years are subject to a cost of living increase not to exceed 3%. CPI, this would equate to about $180,000 to $191,000 over the 5-year term. So anywhere within that range is what you can expect. Staff is recommending to move forward with the project subject to the lease. And we talked before about maintenance, and we can discuss that on the next ordinance on 7B. But those are the highlights, unless you have any other questions on the ordinance. I believe the tenants, proposed tenants, are here tonight to answer any questions if you have some with regards to the use. Other than that,
Darren, just, there's a correction I think needs, on, in the lease agreement,
which page?
in 3.1.
3.1.
Yeah, it's correct in the parentheses, but first it says for the first year, the rent will be $36.
Oh, let's see where it goes.
Forgot the 1,000.
First year, the original, the sum of 36, you're right, 36,000. It's in parentheses, you're right.
Couple zeros.
Take it back now.
Yeah.
I have a question as well. I'm trying to understand this, tell me when I'm wrong here. But we're approving a lease possibly for something that we haven't executed a contract agreement and gone ahead with as far as whether or not we are or are not going to approve the work. So we're going to sign a lease agreement before we do that. Help me with that.
Well, I would ask Mark to go ahead. They're subject, like I said earlier, they're hand in hand. You're going to have to go ahead, we'll have both of them signed probably after. If you, as a council, approve both of these ordinances, we'll go ahead and take Mark's. I would think that Mark would want us to go ahead and have the lease signed first and then the construction.
Yeah, if you're not going to approve the construction contract, don't approve the lease. Because the lease requires us to put the property in condition that they can obtain a certificate of occupancy, which, and I'm not the expert, but my understanding is that building as it sits wouldn't meet that.
That's correct.
So if you're not going to approve the construction contract, don't approve the lease.
And that's what Mr. Reed's saying. Why are we not working on that first and then go with the lease?
Well, it's one or the other. If you approve the construction contract, but you don't approve the lease, you got no way to recoup the money that you're spending on the construction contract.
I think they're just talking about the order in which we do this, so we have discussion
well,
about the construction first to move ahead.
Except last
I understand, Mark.
A couple of us said, we're not going to approve that construction if we don't have a lease.
Correct.
So, yeah, which way you go first? Can you do them simultaneously?
To me, you got the trailer in front of the truck, but that's okay.
Well, this assures us, you guys, that we're going to get our money back. Or
We're a
on
long
the
time
road
getting
to
our
get
money
it.
back.
You know what I mean?
Is there anything, let's pretend, is there anything in this lease that would allow them an out if we vote not to do the construction later?
Yeah, I mean, technically you'd be in breach of the lease because the lease does say that you have to do whatever is necessary to obtain a certificate of occupancy.
All right.
Further discussion?
I think the trailer's in front of the truck.
Go ahead.
I agree.
I think there's a little bit more, there's going to be discussion about the construction. So when we pass the lease right now, it voids our conversation with construction. Can we table the lease until after the discussion with construction?
You could do either one.
Yeah.
Guys?
It's 6 of one, half a
It ma-
dozen of the other.
Yeah, it makes no difference which way you.
Well, you just said that if we agree to the lease, then we have to provide them, by contract.
Correct.
We have to do that.
if you-
But we haven't approved the dollar amount on what we're gonna spend on fixing up the building, but you wanna sign a contract before we do that. I don't get it.
If you approve the construction contract and you don't approve the lease, you could do that, but you don't have any way to recoup your investment in the construction contract.
Well, I understand we wanna recoup our money. I understand that, but I have a hard time.
Well, you can take up the construction contract first. It doesn't, as Mark said, 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
It's either way.
Sounds like the council would prefer that.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Do we need a motion to swap them?
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to swap 7A and 7B.
Yes.
Motion by Dwayne Reed.
Second.
Second by Mark Hydrich. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Let's talk about 7B.
So 7B, the letter is within your packet with regards to the
Can I read the ordinance first?
Yes.
Do you want me to read the?
Yeah, that's
Do
fine.
it right.
Sorry. Go ahead.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contractor agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Franklin County Construction for the Washington Freight Depot renovations project and amend the 2021-2022 budget.
Holtmar.
Okay, brought forth by Holtmar.
So within your packet, as you know, on July 21st, bids were open for the renovations for the freight depot on Front Street. Once it was determined to move forward, it was shoring up the western wall. That estimate was approximately $350,000. As I stated in the letter, the bids exceeded that number. You can see the bids that we received. The base bid of $496,500 was received from Franklin County Construction. That does include the removal of the deck and the building of a new one in its place.
That dollar
Yeah.
dollar amount was
That's
what?
what we tried to clarify with the email last week.
Yeah, got that.
Okay. So,
What was the dollar amount?
what was the dollar amount
Yep.
for the base bid?
Yep.
$496,500.
So we're talking about $500,000.
Yes, $3,500 short.
All right. I got a problem with that. I don't know if anybody else does or not, but anybody I've talked to, I didn't get a million phone calls, but I asked a few questions. We're gonna tie up $500,000 in a 100-year-old building, and we don't own the ground underneath of it. Seems to be a problem. Yeah, we're gonna get $3,000, $3,500 a month rent for 5 years. Still got a problem. I'd rather have a main stage. I'd rather have an airport hangar. I'd like to have a whole lot of things. You had said once before that if we don't approve something like this, that it could be used as storage or something like that down the road. We're talking about buying some buildings and tearing stuff down to make storage for the police department and other things like that. I got a hard problem spending $500,000 on this project. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm alone here or not, but I ran for this job, I got the job, and now I'm here, and I'm voicing my opinion. I don't know who else feels anything like I do, but we're polishing a turd here, if you're asking me, and Ray Charles can do this math, and it don't work out. So, whatever you all want to do, but that's my feelings. Anybody else feels the same way, you know, now it's time to talk. But it don't, I don't have a good taste in my mouth.
One
I'm
of the
sorry.
issues that comes up too is that, 5 years ago, the public approved that capital sales tax.
Yes.
With this in mind, for a good hunk of change. Now, it wasn't this much, but it was a lot.
It wasn't this building.
Yeah, that would be my question. Is this part of the half cent?
I don't think it was ever
We're
this
looking at
building.
funding for
You've
that,
had
so
im-
was that on it?
You've had improvements to the building that was identified in the capital improvement sales tax. It was not for the amount of what we're proposing in order to go ahead and have.
Freight Depot was on the list, but not at this
It
amount.
was, because we've had, and we've spent money, as I indicated in the letter, from the capital improvement sales tax. In 2018, you did put in a new roof for $23,250, and then we also had exterior painting in 2020 for $26,700.
That's upkeep. I'm all over that.
I understand.
If we don't put something in, we use it for storage, we don't have any tax income coming from this building, and.
We
the-
haven't.
Huh?
We haven't had any tax income.
I know we will, if we approve this, we will have some. If we don't, we just got a storage that's probably gonna fall down.
No, I don't think it's gonna fall down right away. You can still do some necessary improvements.
Well, I'm
We don't
for
have to
it.
turn it back into a white box.
I'm for it.
Okay, that's fine. That's what we're gonna do here in a minute. We're gonna vote.
I'm just telling you.
Well, Dwayne, to your point, it's a lot of money to spend on a building like that, and I appreciate that comment, and I've mulled this over for quite a while. From my standpoint, we have a couple different options. We say no and do nothing and let the building go the way it is, and we possibly put something in it for storage. B, we fix it up a little bit and it's better for storage. Or C, we fix it up to what this is, even though it's a lot of money, to secure the historic building that it is. And in my book, you have to put a price tag on securing a historic building, first of all. Whether that number's $100,000 in your mind or $250,000 in your mind, that's how I've come to this realization that we've got to spend a little bit of money. If we, just like any other historic building in downtown, we got to put a value on that. Take that off the price of what this contract is, because we're going to do that anyway. It's kind of what I got. So in order to recoup the total dollar amount here over 5 years at $3,000 or $3,500, the math doesn't come out.
$180,000.
$180,000, 5 years.
Correct. So again, I'm just,
And you never did mention the word $500,000. You said-
no, I said the price of this, right?
You know what I'm saying?
I know, I'm with you.
Big number.
But I guess what I'm saying is that instead of thinking $500,000 to recoup back 181 over 5 years, we would spend money on that freight depot anyway to keep it standing in the next 5 or 10 years. Are we doing more than what we need to do? Yes. This is more than that. It's going to make it better. I'm torn. I am, because spending that kind of money is a lot. I called Darren today and asked him this question: are we taking something else off of the capital improvement sales tax list to put this on? But Darren assured me that nothing's been ixnayed. The mainstays, the auditorium, any of those projects have not been, hangars also, have not been ixnayed, just been pushed back because of pricing at this time. We're fortunate enough that we expected a 2% increase in capital half cent. We're averaging about 7% now. So we have additional funds. Is this the right place to spend it? Your vote will say that.
Yeah, my people say no. But with that being said, you're talking about a lot of money to polish something that doesn't need that kind of money thrown at it. Again, we got to go back, I don't want to throw anybody else under the bus here, but Cochran missed something. About $150,000 later, after the original bid, and then we come back and we find out we got more money to spend, okay? And God knows what else we're gonna find in this building whenever they got into it and get after it, So, we're talking about a lot of money here, kids, about something that I'm just not real sure of.
But the people approved 350,000 of it as their vote for the tax, so you're going against the taxpayers'
No, they didn't.
wishes.
This 350 for the freight depot was not on the capital improvement sales tax list. If I'm correct, I'm not saying
Well,
That's a
I
question
just-
to me.
That is correct. There was maintenance, but it was not to that dollar amount.
Correct.
That is
So
correct.
that
Just to
wasn't-
make sure that
right.
that's clear.
Bingo.
So then we're tabling things that we said we were gonna do because they're too high, and now we're gonna spend it on something that wasn't necessarily on the list at all for
Well, you had
capital
one number, now you
improvements.
got another number.
Well, I'm just asking, folks voted for a half-cent sales tax. We said we're gonna do items A through B, A through F, and we've moved stuff around because of the cost of materials. Those things haven't been done because of that. Now we're gonna spend more money on something that might not have been on the list in the first place, or some of
That's-
it was there, what portion of it, how much money's left in the checkbook is what I'm asking, I guess.
I think, I will say one of the projects that we did not move forward with was the main stage roof out at the fair. And part of that was due to the fact that steel prices that came in.
Hangars were the same way, right?
Yeah, hangars were too. Hangars, though we have different pockets of money
Right.
available to us, so I don't know that that's a complete apple-to-apple comparison. But as far as capital improvement sales tax, the main stage roof, I think the lowest bid came in at $900,000. That's a lot of money to spend for something, and you can say, well, that's 5 days or 10 days, however many days out of the year that we go ahead and utilize it. But-
Yeah, but I mean, it would get used more is the hope.
Yeah, that was the
But
idea. Yeah, it's
my point
absolutely-
is still not how much we're spending. My point is we missed that by, so call that a factor of 2 if it was 450 and it came in at 9.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about spending 350 on something that wasn't on the list. Should we be putting that towards the uh-oh there? I mean, everywhere seems to be an uh-oh lately, and we're living in a world of inflation, and I get that, but waiting for material to come down, as the material comes down, the labor's going up. So, what's the right decision based on what the folks wanted to do with that half-cent sales tax in the first place, I guess is what's running through my head.
Last meeting, I said that, yeah, I agreed with you unless we had a set lease. That's why I wanted to vote for the lease first. But I'm trusting those folks. The lease will still be there. So with the lease in hand and with whatever amount was given the public at the tax, the tax they voted on, I would vote for this.
Darren, the waterworks building, refreshing my memory, how did that get funded?
Same pocket of money, basically, the capital improvement sales tax.
How much was that?
I think it was close to the same amount. I can't remember, like 500,000, it was like close around the same dollar amount.
I think we own that one too, don't we?
We do own that one.
How about that? We don't own the ground under that building. MOPAC still got us where they want us, if they ever need to. I don't see it happening, but you just never know. I got a hard time building a garage on your land.
My next question, and I brought it up, and there's no disrespect to these contractors at all, but I'm just not familiar with the number 1 and number 2. I know you made a call, Darren, but I also made a few calls. And been hearing little differences in prevailing wage with the number 1, the awarded contractor here. I've asked before in the years I've sat up here how close we're keeping an eye on the prevailing wage, because prevailing wage can be, I see it all the time. I can pay you $1,500 a week, and then you pay me cash back, or you work 16 hours and just put 8 hours on your time card, and, I'm not paying you, there's all kinds of ways of cheating around prevailing wage. So I just want to make sure everybody's apples to apples here. We know what kind of work SK does. I know they're a little higher, but I mean, if you guys are in favor of spending money, what's another $70,000 more money? We know what kind of work they do.
So you would propose that if we were going to go ahead and go forward with the contract, to use SK Contractors as the highest bidder to move forward with?
I'm just stating the fact how you made a call and you told me that, well, I made a few calls too, and I've done done a few things, and I've heard there's been problems with prevailing wage,
Okay.
the proper work with the awarding contractor.
I would ask if Joe, if you could come up. Joe sent me an email today. Joe McGowan's the design with Cochran. Joe sent me a thing as a follow-up, as another reference was with Ken Shear at Horn Architects. Franklin County Construction built the new Herman branch. It was a $2.6 million project. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that at all.
Yeah, hi, I'm Joe McGowan with Cochran. I can't speak to the prevailing wage because while we look through the prevailing wage that they provide with their pay request, I'm not visiting the site and interviewing people about how they enter their timesheets.
Well,
So I can't speak for that.
That's one of my questions. How close of an eye are we keeping on this? I've asked that for years out there.
That's not it's not our obligation. We are not required to verify whether they're paying prevailing wage or not. We're required to include that in the contract specs, and we get the annual wage order, whatever number we're up to now, but that has to be included, and they have to agree that they're gonna pay it, but it's not our requirement to go verify, are they paying prevailing wage or not? That's the Department of Labor is supposed to be doing that, or if they're union employees, they're supposed to be checking on that stuff, but that's not our requirement. We don't do that.
First I was ever told that.
Well,
Yeah. I mean,
Joe, can I ask you a question? Is there, so the way the bids came in here, I know it was over what we expected. Is there any opportunity for us to do less than what we proposed here to keep the building structurally more sound, possibly white box it, not be $500,000?
And Darren kind of posed that question to me, and I even had a conversation with the contractor about it. And there's just not, I mean, we're doing, I don't want to say that we're doing the minimal possible. We got a couple of bathrooms, got a small office area, got all new mechanical, all new electrical, because it's, you know, pretty much needed it. And we skinned the building on the inside, put drywall on the walls and drywall on the ceilings, because right now it's just all, or at least in the freight area of it, it's all exposed. So we fixed that, along with fixing the structural issues in the crawl space and on the west wall. So, I mean, there's really not much to take out because we're not putting expensive finishes down, we're not putting expensive woodworking in, we're not doing anything to the exterior other than that one west wall at the bottom with the foundation. So there just wasn't, there wasn't much you could, there wasn't anything you could take out.
Joe, was there some, this is just some feedback I've gotten too, like Mr. Reed says, you know, I didn't get a million phone calls on this, but was there some stuff you guys might have overlooked and SK helped you guys out with a few things, showing you a few things on that project?
I don't know about overlooked, but one of the contractors brought up a different way of doing the construction on that west wall, and we did modify the detail for that foundation on that wall. So.
Okay.
Further discussion.
And I did get three good recommendations, you know, 3 project recommendations, 2 of which Cochran were part of with the contractor. One was a $1 million public works building over in Arnold. Another one was a fill-right packaging industrial project in New Haven for about $1 million. And the other one was, which Darren mentioned, was Herman Scenic Regional Library, which was done with Horn Architects for $2.6 million. And I called Ken Shear over there with Horn, and he had good things to say about Franklin County construction, good quality, good schedule, and did good work.
That's good, and it's no disrespect. We've gotten hung in, you know, in the 13 years I've been up here, we thought, oh yeah, these guys are gonna do a great job, and turned out to be not. So I
Yeah.
just don't know them and just asking.
Right, right. Now, we've been working, our office has been working on and off with them for 10, 15 years, I'd say.
Okay. Thank you.
One more question, please.
Joe,
One more question.
He's got one more question, sorry.
If we do these improvements, how long do you think the improvements would last? You thinking 10 years, 15 years?
No, I mean, and all our work is interior, so it's really not affected by the elements. I mean, it's no different than any other interior construction. I mean, you're looking at a, you know, probably a 30 to 40-year life on the inside before you'd really have to do something. I mean, obviously, mechanical units, HVAC units, you're gonna have to replace. You know, you might have to do repairs, maintenance, but from a standpoint of long-lasting, I don't see any issue with this thing lasting. You know, I can't speak for the underground and what's gonna happen if there's a flood and water gets under that building, but, you know, we went down in that crawl space. We we crawled for, myself, I was probably down there for 3 or 4 hours crawling that whole crawl space. So we know what's down there and we know the issues with it.
Thanks, Joe.
Yep.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Any further discussion, guys? I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, it's second reading.
Oh, sorry, Sherry.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contractor agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Franklin County Construction for the Washington Freight Depot renovations project and amend the 2021-2022 budget. Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
No.
Reed?
No.
Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Hydrich?
No.
Coulter?
Yes.
Okay, 5-3. Looks like the yeses have it. 7A, please.
Is there any more discussion before I read it the second time? An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a lease agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and the Axe Depot LLC.
Holtmeyer.
Owen, you already introduced it.
You already did it. That's okay. It's a second reading.
Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
This is for the lease.
No.
Holtmeyer?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Patke?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Hydrich?
Nay.
Coulter?
Yes.
Motion passes. 7C, thanks for the discussion, guys.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a sales agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission.
Holtmeyer.
Holmeyer.
This is the, John can do a little bit more explaining on this, but this has been a long time coming. This is the remnant parcel as a result of the bridge construction with MoDOT. We have the opportunity to go ahead, that MoDOT will convey that to us. Our costs, I think, as John has identified in his letter, $3,400 for surveying. There are some easements that he can go into and describe, but basically this gives us that remnant property where the Alberici had their shed up there, or whatever you want to call it, their office space.
Yeah, good evening, council. Within your packet, there was a description of what was, what this conveyance is. There was also a property boundary survey included in there. What staff did was we worked with MoDOT to come up with the best way to where the city acquired as much property as possible, even with MoDOT utilities underneath of it. The reason for doing that is we've had previous direction from previous city council that we would not to be maintaining MoDOT right-of-way. So mowing grass, those type of things. And that was really spurred from Lowe's, I think, at the time. Either we're in between contracts or something, and it was pretty ratty looking at the time. So using that previous direction, I wanted to make sure that we got as much as we could. We were able to negotiate with MoDOT that their utility pole boxes, their fiber optic lines, their things are in a utility easement that is owned by us. We own the ground, the dirt. They just have rights to put utilities in there. That is not over the whole parcel. That's only over the first 10 foot, closest to 47. In addition to that, they would also have an access easement to the bridge should they need to do it in the future. So again, the reason there is, from a maintenance perspective, that is kind of the first lens into the city. So I think it makes some sense to have room to do whatever we see fit in the future. And it would also then continue down the path of what you guys have allowed us to do in the future with maintenance. So Darren hit on it, $3,400 was our survey cost. That was to Cochran Engineering. This went on for almost 15 months, so this is not much. Long time coming.
Same thing.
So if you have any questions, I don't know I don't have any ideas or any concepts of what could go in there other than we'll be maintaining it.
Can you show
John,
us
can you
on
show
a
us?
Oh,
map
yeah.
what that, what
I'm
that
sorry.
Yeah, is it the shaded triangle, or is it more than that?
Yeah, hold
It's
on.
more than that.
Here you go, I'll jump in here real quick. Well, the survey, that's the unfortunate part. Okay, the survey is, it's this, I'm gonna try to outline it here. It is essentially, this is what we are acquiring, that shaded area. So it's pretty tight to the right of way, it's about 5 foot off the back of the curb. And again, there's an easement, right where those trucks are, you kind of see them right there, those trucks, sorry. But these trucks right here, that's where that access road easement is. So if you wanted to put something in the future, I'm not trying to, but let's just say a welcome to Washington sign.
Yeah,
or
welcome
something.
sign.
You put it outside that easement and you'd be able to do that. So again, we haven't discussed what could go in there.
We have had, I've had very preliminary discussions with the chamber and downtown of using some of the ARPA funds for a sign so that we don't have the other signs that sometimes have been put in Krog Park, et cetera, some kind of sign that lets people, it's a changeable copy sign that you can go ahead and advertise different events that are going to be happening, but it can also, have our logo, whatever. I mean, that design's all up to us with regards to that. But we have had a discussion. They've taken it to a local sign company and come up with an idea or a concept. We have not taken it any further. I said, let's wait until we're able to get the property, and then we can have those discussions later.
Looks to me like if we'd have bought a couple more houses, we wouldn't have a big crook in that road right there, would we?
Well, that was a MoDOT project, and so that was not the city buying those homes. But I guess if you wanted us to buy those homes, yeah, we could have at that time and
I
done
don't
that.
think it cost $500 million to buy them.
I'd say, I don't know, well, you never know.
Maybe.
You don't know, Dwayne.
They're zoned commercial.
That's all I can tell you.
$1 bridge, they bought it.
They are zoned commercial, so.
Yeah, they are, so.
Yeah.
Does this affect the parking? I remember a couple months ago, the lady across the street who had the business
Correct.
was looking for parking, or, I mean, I don't know that she does park there or not.
I don't think,
I don't see any cars there usually.
I've
I'm
never
not aware
seen-
that they park there.
I don't go there every day, but I'm not aware they park there. I haven't heard any issues with parking, other than the neighbor to the west early on was concerned about people parking there to
Right.
get access to the bridge.
Right.
I mean, we discussed fence, we discussed parking lot for bridge walking, all that kind of stuff,
All
but
it's
we
up
don't want to
in-
be,
I mean, all.
I think there are some initial concerns about if you allow parking there, or if you encourage parking there, let's put it that way, that, it's like, what is that going to do for traffic right there? You're going northbound, you're going to be trying to make a left.
well, that
and
was
try
our
to go in.
discussion months
Yes.
ago. Yeah.
So right now, the only discussion, like I said, was to go ahead and possibly have some type of sign. I will say when Sandy was mayor, I know she was approached by a family to go ahead and put up some type of possible tribute to one of our former mayors, Mayor Hillerman, at the time, so they had requested something. So there's been a lot of ideas as to what to do with that remnant piece of property. Tonight is just go ahead and acquire the property.
Conveyance of MoDOT to us at no
Correct.
cost, other than the input cost to get the survey.
Survey.
Yep.
Further questions?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a sales agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission. Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yeah.
Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Aye.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Coulter?
Yes.
By your vote, the ordinance passes.
How much we're paying for?
7D, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an agreement to sell and purchase real estate by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and ELS Washington LLC.
Patke.
Brought up by Patke.
Just to give everybody a description on this transaction or whatever, or a history on that, you've got the letter in there with Sal, but I did want to make sure everybody knew, we did go out for bids on this at various times. The first time was April of 2018, and at that time, the council had requested that a minimum bid of $150,000 be required to all bidders. We put it out and received no bids on it due to that minimum. We later, that same year, went out in July, or the end of June, early July, second time, this time with a minimum bid of $100,000, and received 0 bids. We did not receive any. There was another property. I did get a call from someone that was expressed some interest in it in the past, and he was talking to me about that today. But we did have earlier that year, or in the same year in 2018, we had a house that was under the that was getting removed, or we were wanting. There you go. John's got the aerial showing you the house when it was there. And then, yes, it was a little bit further south. They did bid and get that project at that time from the city and removed that home and then added that onto the property that they owned to the north. But with regards to this, went back and checked the records. We did not receive bids either time on this because we had the minimum bid. So in Sal's letters within your packet with regards to it, we were approached by ELS to purchase the property. And we, with your recommendation to move forward with this, we settled on $80,000, and that's the price that we are selling the lot for. Within the packet too, you've got a site plan on there that also shows the permanent easement that we have, and that's at the entrance to our Bush Creek Greenway.
Yeah, and with that easement, when we subdivided this property, we felt that we reserved enough property to put that greenway in. However, as design progressed with MoDOT, they required a lighted entrance, which you see poured down there now. So it actually widened that out a little bit. I think it looks a lot better as an entrance to the greenway. So we had to get the easement over top of it or to get that kind of sorted out. So, and we've done that.
And Sal, he's talking, as I understand, some commercial up to 3,000 square feet?
Ed is here. We could ask that question if Ed doesn't mind. Ed, do you mind answering the? Oh, no, that's fine.
As I understood somewhere in there, you're talking possible commercial units downstairs, 2 1,500 square foot units, is that correct?
Correct, yes. So Ed Schmeltz with ELS. So yes, we are looking at, obviously a lot of this ground is in the floodplain, so not a lot of it is
That's what I was going to ask.
buildable.
With that and any parking, you're clear.
So parking is going to be in the rear. You know, we can still park in the floodplain, but obviously we can't build in the floodplain. So we're looking at a 3,000 square foot structure, 2 1,500 square foot commercial units on the first floor, and then we're looking at 4 residential units on the second floor of about 750 square feet each for each one. You know, obviously we'll have plenty of parking in the back for all of the residential units.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Ed. Further questions or discussion, guys? Okay.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an agreement to sell and purchase real estate by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and ELS Washington LLC. Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Aye.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Coulter?
Yes.
An ordinance approving a boundary adjustment for Quail Run Subdivision, Plat 8 in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Heidrich.
Brought by Heidrich.
Yeah, it's all right. I got you.
All right, good evening. This is a very simple boundary adjustment. In Quail Run, this is lots 45 and 46 of Quail Run on Berkshire Drive. You can see there it's just east of the intersection of Lancaster. Right now it is 2 lots, but it's owned by the applicant. So John, if you go to the next slide, you can see they're actually just going to combine it into 1 lot. So that way it's one buildable lot for them if they wanted to add a garage or shed. So no zoning issues. Went to site plan. We had no concerns with stormwater easements or any utility easements. So we do recommend approval.
Discussion?
Sounds good.
Okay.
An ordinance approving a boundary adjustment for Quail Run Subdivision, Plat 8 in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yep.
Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Aye.
Hydrich.
Aye.
Coulter.
Yes.
Ordinance is approved. How about 7F, please?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a special sale contract by and between the City of Washington, Missouri, and Fred Hartbank.
Patke.
Brought by Patke.
Which one?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, Patke was?
Patke, yeah.
Sure.
John's pulling this up on the aerial. This is for a sale. The city was approached by a property owner that has been maintaining a portion of the city's property that's was donated to the city in the late 90s. A developer at that time donated this property. John's got it up on the aerial now. It can highlight that section further south. There you go.
Here, I can.
And anyway, at that time, so he had approached the city to go ahead and see if the city was interested in conveying that to him. We discussed, it's a unique situation because it's landlocked. Not anybody can go ahead and be able to have access to that property unless you own a lot on either State Street or James Street. So we sent out a letter to all the owners along State Street and that abut this property, whether they be on State Street or James. And we had 2 inquiries. One was just doing an inquiry to find out what was going on with it. I talked with them on the phone. They said that they were not interested in acquiring it. And then the second one was the individual, Mr. Hartbank, that wanted to go ahead and purchase it from the city. We are proposing to go ahead, after going through that in discussion at the council's guidance, contract to go ahead and sell to Mr. Hartbank for the $5,000 for the piece of property that's highlighted basically by John there in the packet, or on the screen. That's all I have. Any other questions? We will be keeping, I think by this, we are keeping there's a small little remnant parcel. John, can you highlight that? Yeah, right over there.
It's over here.
That's on our side of the creek, that little piece right there. To my knowledge, that's not included with the sale. Everything else to the east of that line is, though.
Darren, real quick, I got a question for Mark that I just realized. So, Mark, that sewer line existed most likely prior to when the lot was subdivided. I'm just guessing, but most likely it probably was because it serves everything to the south. Since we became the owner of that property, and hypothetically, if there was an easement over that sewer line, since we became the owner of that easement goes away. Do we need to retain an easement as part of this as well, correct?
Yes,
I just caught that.
yes, you do.
So you're saying everything to the west of that sewer line, you're going to retain?
No, all of what is
I'm-
basically got highlighted, I think what the discussion is to keep a sewer easement for that portion of the sewer.
'Cause what happens is when you retain ownership, Marco, when you own a piece of property that has an easement over.
The sewer line,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Correct. So that sewer line had an easement over it when it was under previous ownership.
Gotcha.
When the city became owner, when the city becomes owner of any easement, or when anybody becomes owner of any easement, that easement then goes away. So then by transferring it to somebody else, you have to retain an easement back. Is that correct?
Correct.
So I apologize. I should have caught that. But
I don't think that Mr. Hartbank's going to have any issue with
No.
that easement as far as that goes. So
Just need to make sure we understand
with your blessing, if the ordinance passes, we will convey that to him and let him know that we want to keep that easement. No, I'm glad you caught it.
Discussion?
You think it's okay to pass it and
Yeah.
Yes. Subject to an easement.
subject to easement? Okay, thank you.
perfect.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a special sale contract by and between the City of Washington, Missouri, and Fred Hartbank. Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Aye.
Hydrich?
Aye.
Coulter?
Yes.
By your vote, the ordinance pertaining to Mr. Hartbank passes.
Commission, committee, and board reports. An ordinance approving the final plat of Terrace in Washington, Plat 3 in the City of Washington, Franklin
Patke.
County, Missouri.
Patke.
Patke.
All right, thank you. So this is a final plat for the Terrace in Washington development. This is the apartment complex that's been being under construction, been grading for over a year now. John, if you want to back up, I actually have the old slides. just so we're all familiar. There you go. So this was the original presentation we did when they did the preliminary plat last year. This is an old zoning map, and you can kind of see the general area of it, and it was a lot of pieces that they're putting together. That R3 was the existing multifamily. They have extended that to the north, and I'll show you. So if you go to the next one, that's just an aerial so we can kind of better see what it used to look like. And this is, hold on, go one more. There you go. Here we go. So the only comments we truly had, we had to have them change the name, and then of Don Avenue, they had a different name, but since Don Avenue is going to be the outer road from Pottery all the way down to Casey's, we had them switch that. And then where I have those red dotted lines, we needed that to be shown on the final plat as actual easements for a fire lane cross access. That KJ Understall, which goes from Highway 100 down to the south, that's KJ Understall Drive, that would not be permitted to be built at that length without an approved turnaround unless it actually has those curb cuts in there going north and south. And so they showed those on here, but we said the final plat needs to actually show an easement. So if you go to the next slide, John, you'll see this is the final plat that they're asking for tonight. They show those easements as requested. 26 feet, cutting that in half. So actually, this has gone to site plan. Every building, all 15 buildings, will have very good access to a fire lane. They'll meet the 150-foot requirement. And for that many units, that was obviously, we wanted to double, triple check that. And then they also added a stormwater easement that cuts kind of in between there on lot 4. That's really the only changes. Other than that, on the north side of Don Avenue, there's lots 1, 2, and 3. 2 and 3 are those outer lots that are still commercial. And then lots 1 and 4 are the apartments that are, again, have been approved zoning-wise, but this is tonight just approving the final plat, so this can be brought to the county. These lots exist, and the right-of-way exists. They have submitted a performance bond with this application, meaning all the public improvements for road, water, and sewer, they're obviously not in today. Typically, with the final plat, you either have to put all the improvements in or get a performance bond. They submitted an estimate and a performance bond to John, and we have approved that. I believe $1.2 million. That or
$1,252,780.
There you go. Thank you. So, $1.2 million bond for all those improvements. So if they were to walk away from the project, we can finish up Don Avenue, the road, water, and sewer, and actually get that outer road, which is important to our comp plan, completed. So that's good news there. We obviously don't anticipate that with the approval tonight. They are stationed to break ground tomorrow and start putting footings in tomorrow. So,
Who's our contractor? Who's building this?
it's
Brahms, Brums. I have never heard of them. As far as public improvements going in, I believe KJ Understall has been subcontracted through Brahms or through the owner to put in the roads, pipes, those type of things. It's important to note too, what you don't see on this plan is a detention basin anywhere. That detention basin is actually further to the east near High Street. I verified with the developer and the owner, water releases off this site via an open ditch at the southeast corner, kind of right in here. That ditch exists on the developer's property the entire way. So they have not adversely affected anybody else's property with doing so. We should always encourage regional detention basins, that way you don't have multiple ponds scattered throughout a development. So just that's what increased that up to 1.2 million for this thing. So we put that in escrow while they're working through permitting and those type of things.
yeah, it was about 800,000 just for that, right?
No, it wasn't that much.
Oh, okay.
But it was a pretty substantial chunk. So just to point that out.
And will this Don Avenue to the west connect to South Pottery Road or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
It
So
will.
that will go to South Pottery right now with the plan to go to, we'll bring that at a future date. Another one, you can see here, will actually go all the way to
Here, I'll zoom in so you can see that.
actual Pottery, not South Old Pottery.
Okay.
So that way you're not following that traffic.
Right, that was my question.
Yep.
Where-
That's a separate project. It's
Yeah.
my understanding that the city
So you
is
see
going
this
to go ahead and work to get
right
that
here.
done,
Okay.
Get that
So
intersection.
currently, it connects to South Old Pottery. We will be coming to you all at a later date to get this design, this work done, to drop this roadway down because it's such an elevation difference You have to actually drop that down and then tie these grades in. What that'll do is it'll make just a fairly tight intersection, which we don't like. We all know that. But there's only one residential house and 3 on South Old Potter Road. So, you know, coming that tight to the intersection isn't that big of a deal.
And those property owners are aware of that. When this zoning went through, that was conveyed to them. They didn't want the traffic taking a left on South Old Pottery, then back onto Pottery. This cuts it right through.
Sure.
Yep.
That's what I was concerned if it was
Yep.
going to go.
It's just the final plat tonight doesn't show that because it stops at their property.
This is
That
all
is
right
our
of way.
property.
Yeah, and this is all right of way. Everything from this connection to there is all city right of way. So you can't, when you platting, you know, you're just tying in roadways with an existing right of way.
That first house just to the south there, is that the Boer house? Right there?
I can check.
Huh?
I can check real quick on the name. I don't know the name.
Pretty sure it is.
And Don Avenue will also be going
own 'em
east
all.
back to the existing Don, obviously why we.
Down and
requested
go all the way
that.
to High Street.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
It'll be a full outer road.
Yep,
That's it.
that's it.
That's the Boer House.
Yes, sir. So if you can imagine, actually, if you go out there right now today, you'll see there's 3 water lines or water valves right there. That's essentially relatively close to where that
Where the
road's
road
gonna
would
come
go
in.
to.
So if you just go out there and envision it, we gotta drop that road down almost 5 foot and then tie those grades in to make all that work, but that's all doable.
Yes, this plat does meet all the minimum requirements in our code for platting process, so really, we've had the plat for a while. We were waiting on cost estimates for the performance bond is what took so long, so. And again, we've heard from the developer to the west, because this is, KJU doesn't own this, they're just contracted. They still own to the west. They have told us next month that to anticipate the next plat for Don Avenue to actually connect from Casey's, right, behind Casey's to this. Because obviously as these get built, that's where this owner wants to funnel traffic down to that stoplight, which is better, honestly.
So there's still a chunk of land there between the new road and Highway 100 back to this new subdivision, correct?
Correct, right? So you can see where,
See this right here?
Yeah.
yep, that's what next month that they're gonna do another plat to finalize this, so.
Same people?
No, this is still KJU.
Okay.
Terrace and Washington they only own what you saw before that, so. That piece there, yep.
They own these parcels.
Other questions for Sal, you guys? Discussion.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Sherry?
An ordinance approving the final plat of Terrace and Washington, Plat 3 in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Aye.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Coulter?
Yes.
Okay, by your vote, the ordinance approving Plat 3 and Terrace is approved.
Mayor's report?
Next week this time, you guys, at 6 PM, we have a special council meeting to set the tax rate, the annual tax rate. And we're gonna have a budget workshop, so on your calendar, next week, 6 PM. Anybody else who wants to be here is welcome. The next regular council meeting, after that, after that, of course, is September 6th, which is a Tuesday, and that's due to Labor Day holiday. Yeah.
Got it out?
Yes. A couple things, you guys. Fair's over. Everybody had a great time. Thank you for all the people that worked. A lot of people from the city put in a lot of time. But it turned out really, really well. It was an excellent decision to cancel on Wednesday night, I thought. We did it soon enough. Nobody hurt. But it could have been bad. So thank you for that, you guys. I would also like to thank each and every one of you guys tonight for that discussion we had on the
Freight depot.
on the depot tonight. That was respectful, passionate discussion, and the vote may or may not have gone your way. To me, that's irrelevant. What's relevant is the way we talk to one another. And the way we talk to one another tonight, it doesn't always happen these days. And it's my most fervent wish that when we have discussions, it's like that one. So, thank you, guys.
City Administrator's report.
Yeah, just to follow up, we will be having on the budget workshop, as the mayor said, on August 22nd, next Monday. We'll have primarily what a lot of questions that usually come out of the councils, what I've experienced in the past with the budget is what capital improvement sales tax projects are going to be slated, et cetera. So we are sitting, excuse me, we are meeting with the department heads this week and hashing that out, and we will have that list for you available then for the workshop, so that in case you have any questions. As a matter of fact, I could probably go ahead and email that out to you after we have our meeting this week, so you have time to take a look at that, and then you can ask any questions prior to the workshop. In addition to that, what was the other thing I was going to cover? I think that's it. That is it.
Council comments?
I got a couple. Go ahead, Chad. Go ahead. Take it.
I'd like to thank the police chief. I know the fire chief isn't here. Mark Scarney, I'd like to thank you. Everybody else that was involved in the fair, you guys did a great job.
I got a couple of things. I got some questions after our meeting with Stonecrest.
That's what I was going to, thank you.
Okay. You want to say it real quick?
No, I don't mind. I don't mean to interrupt. You just made me remember what I was forgetting. Go ahead. All right. So we had, thank you, Mark. We had 2 meetings with property owners out there. There was a lot of questions with regards to some items that the city's looking at. One of them being the firehouse location. Second being the existing median that's never been improved that was in the roadway, as well as the overall layout of how the connection street and how the council and how we've looked at that in the past. We had 2 meetings. We had one that was right here within the council chambers. We sent out, put a notice out on social media. That word got out pretty quickly. Had a nice sized crowd in here that night. I think the fire department had a lot of representation that night too. And then we also held a secondary meeting. We didn't hold it, but it was at the request of the residents out there at Phoenix Park. Good crowd that was in attendance that night. And so between John, myself, and Chief Frankenberg, we had covered basically the same items that we covered on Monday night to see if there was any questions. There was a lot of people that were there Monday night and Tuesday night, showed up both nights, et cetera. And I think we got some resolution on a couple of items that overall. One of them, I think the one action item I guess we can walk away with is that most of the residents out there, if not, I mean the majority of them, if not all, wish to see the median removed. One of the ideas of what we looked at was to move up potential, I think the homeowners association was looking at having some type of signage out there indicating that you were coming into their phase of Stonecrest at that location. That was what the original intent was. During the meeting, we also threw out the idea that if the firehouse is located on the corner there, that there would be ample enough room on the side of the road to go ahead and put that monument sign there, and I think most of them were content with that.
And that's not with us paying for the sign.
That's exactly right. That's them paying for that. We would give them an easement to go ahead and put their sign on that portion of right.
They already paid for it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
we're
well,
taking it, and we're gonna take out that medians in the middle?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's what, I think but before we move forward with that, I think we just need to see where we're at with the lot and making sure. I don't want to.
That's the thing.
That's the thing. I don't want to go ahead and sit there. We don't own that lot yet. And so I want to make sure that that's very clear with that. But if we do, we don't have a problem with putting that sign obviously on that lot.
Feedback I got was very positive. The people were really pleased, and I wanted to thank John and Chief and yourself. You had it well planned out. You had your stuff together that night, and it went over very well. And they, like I say, the feedback I've got has been very positive.
Yeah. It was just a couple things. Some residents asked about the traffic study. Remember, we were talking about the traffic study.
Yeah.
And they were curious about, their main concern is, again, the volunteer firemen coming in. They would like to see there's a couple, I got hit yesterday at Masso too. They want to see a traffic study again done on that strip.
And I guess my question, and I think I addressed this at the meeting, is I got to figure out what the goals of what we're trying to achieve with the traffic study. Because
What do we want to learn?
what are we looking for?
Right, they're saying 5 to 10 years, you know, well.
5 to 10
we
for
don't know
what, though?
that's gonna be.
Right.
But that's, I'm just passing
Yeah.
on all their concerns. Another concern is, you know how you come up and you're headed north, you know, there's kind of a three-way there. They're asking if we can take out that stop sign going north and just have a two-way.
Are you talking about in Phoenix Center 2 development?
Going up to 100.
You're talking about the three-way, or the
Yes,
three-stop
right there by Steak and
intersection.
Shake and,
Oh, at the,
people are so confused there anyway.
oh, yeah, I can pull it up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so people, well, their concerns is if fire trucks and stuff are coming through there, it's gonna be more confusing.
So you're actually thinking up here at the
He's
intersection?
talking about right there, yeah.
Yep. You know how when you're going north there, you gotta,
The little triangle curb needs to come out too. Mm-hmm. Because now you're gonna have to go around the thing to get to the stop.
Southbound traffic, southbound traffic does not stop
southbound, no
everybody
stop.
else.
They just,
That's right.
What's too close to the,
I think that was
Highway.
the idea, is that it was too close to the highway.
right, you
When
can't
they
put a
have
stop sign that close.
their concern is coming northbound now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe releasing that, getting rid of that stop sign, you know. to
Well, they wanna
slow
get
things
rid of it?
flow.
Really?
Yeah, because the people this way is still gonna stop. Because they said there's so many people confused, and I don't know if we can keep, and their concerns again, in which they brought it up Tuesday night, because we were out there for 3 hours. I didn't leave there till 9 o'clock that night, but the bushes and the shrubbery again on that.
We've talked about this,
I
yeah.
talked with Joe Vernacci next morning, I guess. And he's committed to helping us out. He's committed. He's concerned about tearing them out right away. Basically, what happens if you're heading south on that road, people are pulling out of Target, which is a private street. So we can't really do anything about it. But they're pulling out of Target, and that shrubs there, he's got them raised up, and they can't see people coming south on Vernacci Drive. And they pull out in front of you quite frequently. But anyway, he's committed to trying to help with that situation, and he's talking about totally changing the arrangement inside that raised bed and making it so that there's better visibility. And I asked him about maybe trimming it in the meantime a little bit anyway to help out. But that's been addressed at the Traffic Commission 2 or 3 times.
You know, unfortunately, the road makes a bend right there. Per the definition of the side triangle, it's outside the side triangle. So you got to come down to is do we have jurisdiction to do anything anyway? And that's one of the things that we got to work through. I don't think we do.
No, I
So I
don't
think it becomes one of these things that we work with the property owner to just let them know, hey, these are your people coming into your commercial development. You should
Right,
have.
that was one of the issues.
Yeah,
And,
yep.
and about this traffic study, so you guys understand this email better, I sent it both to you, Darren, and John just now.
Oh,
So,
Okay.
that was one of the things, the stop sign. Then, give me a minute here.
John, can you go back to that intersection
Up here?
where we said we wanted to, yeah, you know what I mean by the curb, right where your cursor is at right now?
Yeah.
You see how the car is going due north and the car has to actually go around to get into a turn
Yeah.
lane there?
Oh, yeah.
I've been told numerous, that just needs to come out. Especially if a fire truck going that way, it doesn't serve much purpose.
I think all those things are on the table.
All that is too.
If we wanted to move forward with reducing that radius now, we could. You know, the idea, and I'd have to talk with, Bishop Frankenberg and Associates, laid out this for Joe Vernacci. And your general concepts are you want to get people into your retail, right? That's the most efficient way possible and get them off the highway. Okay, so as far as the curbs and things, that's just for traffic control, those things. But I want to talk with them first on the general concept, just to get an idea what they were doing in the first place. But if we were to reduce this, eliminate it to a stripe median, those are all pretty minor things to do.
Sure. Something to look at while you're looking there.
Yeah.
And that being, I thought I would throw those out first. I received an email from one of the representatives for Stonecrest, and he just wanted me to pass this on. So I'm going to read this brief. He wanted me to read it because he wasn't going to be able to make tonight's meeting. So I just wanted to pass on a thank you to all that showed up Tuesday and for the meeting on Monday. I felt I had to pass on a thank you because I had a lot of people stop me when I'm working in my yard, text me on how they appreciated Tim with the fire department, KJ Understall, and the city administration for taking the time to explain everything. After things were explained, all felt better and relieved. There was just so many neighbors complimenting that I felt I had to pass this on. Seems like you hear all the bad, and it's nice to pass on the compliments. But Tuesday, it was impressive that all showed up. I also heard how impressed they were with you, John, with all the information you gave and, went in detail. Your name was mentioned as well again. So, and a special thanks again, just to thank everybody again for showing up Tuesday and spending the extra time. They felt like it really gave them a lot more information. Maybe they didn't absorb it all on Monday evening. So that was one. And just FYI, and this would be more for the parks, and maybe Jeff, if you can pass this forward. There's a new fad going out, and there's some people brought this forward to me about beach tennis. Beach tennis is a new thing that you use a tennis ball. It looks like a tennis racket, but it's all closed, and you use a sand volleyball court. And they've been doing it out at Lions Lake every Saturday morning at 8:30 if anybody wants to go out there and check it out. But they would like to talk to the city about possibly some ideas about a different net out there. That it's a combination, it would be a combination net. They're tighter holes, so the tennis ball does not go through it.
Gotcha.
They're like I say, they're tighter holes, and it can be used for volleyball, sand volleyball yet. And so they would like to talk to Parks Department about that, or if
I'll talk to Wayne about it.
it's I went out there last Saturday and checked it out. There was 20 people out there. So I mean, it's getting to be a
Beach
next
tennis?
pickleball. Yeah,
Thank you. Okay.
something for all ages.
Gotcha.
I think that's all I got.
Okay.
I know, I'm sorry, drug it out, but stuff got to bring up. Sorry, Joe. Thank you very much for everybody's time.
Okay.
I think we missed the mark getting ready for the fair and talking about the fair, and we forgot all about our Legion teams too. Didn't mention how well they did on a nice new prepared field out there. So congratulations to them. Hopefully
Amen.
we can recognize them a little bit in the future.
City Attorney's Report, public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss personnel, legal, and real estate matters pursuant to Section 610.021 RSMO 2000. Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reed?
Yep.
Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Coulter?
Yes. Make motion to adjourn?